Welcome back to another episode of the Board Uplander Show. I'm your host, the Metaverser, aka Eddie, but the Metaverser works just fine. Welcome again, and welcome. Today we're going to jump off and continue from our last video talking about nodes. Today we're doing our San Pedro node. Check it out. All right, so the last video, I went into some general concepts about what the Board Uplander Club is doing when we're creating our nodes, what kind of value we're looking to bring to Upland, to the community, and to these locales within Upland. Here you have San Pedro. We're going to get into some details here. I've been working hard with OSM to get as many of the properties labeled. This is an immediate boost we've seen within Upland of 25% on the value of your property, on your NFT property. So that was a big to-do on my list to make sure that as many as possible can come through. Now, we have experienced trouble with the labels when they're too specific, or for some reason, like this one up here, just don't come through. Okay, so the fork and knife restaurant, when it's labeled restaurant in OSM, will come through. Art galleries, theaters, but if you label something an apartment building, it won't come through. Other labels also don't come through. I'm assuming possibly because of the proximity of the properties, right, next to each other. Now, this one, for some reason, in the latest update, lost the 361 tag, but it added Compagnon, which is nice. It's our favorite restaurant, actually. Very delicious French cuisine, brought to you by Thomas. He is the sommelier owner, and by Lonnie, his wife, and a great hostess. All right. So as you can see, we went ahead, not only in the downtown area, but because I picked San Pedro General to be a focus of my attention, as you can see here, outside of the downtown area here, I've been spreading out a lot more. We have the dispensary here, the Masonic Lodge, a little bit around Averill Park. Okay. But yes, downtown has been the focus to start with because, one, the moment I read the white paper, I knew that I wanted to own a Web3 store. And so I did my best to put this part of San Pedro on the map. And we were lucky enough to be awarded with a store at this location. Buck Explorers, y'all. Coming at you by the end of the month, ideally, maybe during Genesis Week. That would be a great time to cut the ribbon and open the doors for everybody to come and shop at Buck Explorers, 390 West 8th Street. Not in the apartment. You could just come right to the front and find great deals. Now, we do have a philosophy at Buck Explorers and all Buck Explorer franchisees that we aim to sell your Block Explorer within 30 days. You heard me right. Within 30 days. Obviously, liquidity is what we're looking for when we're selling our Block Explorer. But as we've seen too many times in other stores that are already open, some players are clogging up the slot that the Block Explorer needs to be listed by asking for ridiculously high prices, essentially turning that Block Explorer shop into a gallery where there's very little movement, and it tends to inflate the market greater than it needs to, because all the other then shops are trying to uh, find the floor where things are selling but not be so low that it undercuts everybody else. At Buck Explorers, you're going to find a great deal. Your Block Explorer will sell within 30 days, period. Okay. I will have a rubric set up that I give out to everybody that does come to me to consign. If you get rejected, if you submit for consignment yourself, you will have a message as to why it was rejected, why the offer was rejected. And again, the explanation as to how I price things to sell at Buck Explorers, it will be explained in the rejection letter, in a sense. That doesn't mean you can't submit after readjusting pricing, so on and so forth. So that's one aspect about bringing value, or another one of the aspects of bringing direct value to a node or a community. Lazy nodes don't do that. They don't put in the work that it is to tag all this stuff. Lazy nodes don't care to calculate the correct mix of buildings to maximize your community score. Now, if you put nothing but apartments, let's say, in one area, your community score will be off the charts, but not in a good way. It'll be inflated, meaning if you can't fill these spaces, it will show up in the rubric as not very well rented, not well leased. And because we know that apartments run at a premium, it'll be very hard to sell. So having a good mix of apartment buildings, smaller buildings, and everything in between, as we see here, Kevin Luxury so graciously began working with me and Buck and the URL to ensure that our track here in San Pedro, which I'll get into next, looks really nice. Look at that starting line. Right? And that is value added number 4. I'm busting my ass to meet the sanctioning and preliminary track certifications. So that means that to be a sanctioned, I have to have 40% control of this area or wherever the track will run. And vacations. So that means that to be a sanctioned, I have to have 40% control of this area or wherever the track will run. And to be a prelim or a secondary, you just need 20% ownership. That will ramp up in the next couple of years to 60% sanctioned, 40% prelim. Okay. By then we should have more control of some of these bigger properties. If not direct control, then kind of like I'm working with Kevin Luxury here as part of the consortium to develop this area properly. MT Squirrel and Mr. Goat here are great communicators. They are very willing to help me develop here. We have some Nerds Logic in the house. We'll talk about building an apartment there, homie. Yeah, so that's what we're doing to bring value to the node. So just like you need to be very careful at the kinds of property you get in upland. You also have to be very careful with the kinds of nodes you get into. Always, just like with the project, look into who the founders are, what their motivation is, why they're trying to do this. For the most part, other nodes are just pump and dumps. So be careful with that. They will, a YouTuber and influencer will get on, YouTube, talk about starting a node. It'll hyperinflate the property value of that area. And then the person who was hyping it will either begin selling out, when it gets very high, and then buying up the dips when people are dumping because they see nothing is happening. Now, there are some nodes that have very few regulations, uh, in why you or what you should build, and eventually we'll have very few regulations on what kind of businesses you can have here. Now that's going to be very important too. That's one critical question you need to ask the founder of the node is when open enrollment for meta ventures happens. I'm assuming by the end of the year, if not early next quarter. When open enrollment happens, what is the plan to avoid high business taxes, right? Now, outside of what I own, outside of what Board Uplander Club as a whole owns, we can't control what people do, right? But by continuously growing my collection of San Pedro properties, I will have a greater say, along with some of the other large property owners in the area, of how we keep our business taxes low, right? Because the venture dues will be a vital component to the upland economic structure for upland directly. It will be important for us also because that's how we'll know how to mark up our products, whether it be block explorers, legit shops, and then the coming car economy with mechanics doing the upgrades on the engines and suspensions probably for the cars, and body shop owners doing those really awesome custom skins. Chi-Town NFTs, I'm looking at you. Meta God Roger, looking at you too. And Twitchy, looking at you too. So yeah, that's going to be an important way to help each other, not really as business owners, meta venture owners, not spend so much money on our monthly dues. This way we can, again, keep rates for uplanders very low. Let me harvest some sends here while we're talking. I went nuts yesterday, a little sidebar while this is happening, doing some treasure hunting, and it was actually pretty lucrative. I'm not a big treasure hunter. Honestly, last night, the last couple of days, this is Spark Week. That's it. That was generalized. This is Spark Week. I really went hard in hunting, maxed out my daily sends, and came out with 2 treasure chests. Last night, got my biggest rewards. See, still daily limit reached. Yeah, but 2 treasure chests, 2 big rewards, a 6,600K and a 3,800K, along with all the other little ones, the 290s and 300s. Anyway, now it's theorized that development activity attracts this kind of attention from the algorithm, right? If there is a lot of activity, economic activity in an area, it will drop sends so people can continue, shopping in that area. Yeah, so please be careful with the kind of nodes you're getting into. I, on the other hand, have released some properties to BUC members because I know they're going to hold them long term. I'm in direct communication with them. And yeah, see, all these buckers. And most of all of these already have the agreed an agreement that a meta venture will be placed here, right? So this is the arcade building, very beautiful. The meta venture here will be VR Tour. There's also a bookstore inside and I believe a clothing store. So we'll see how we can integrate their products for board uplanders. All uplanders, really. Here we have Clark's Fork. There's a Guitar Safari and a Roots Unchained chained clothing store here. Again, trying to see how we can bring that into the metaverse. They've been reached out to, and so on and so forth. That's the 5th added value. So think about this. If you're in a BUC node, you know that your property will probably end up being tagged, right? You will have this kind of development surrounding you, which automatically increases the property value of the area around you, okay? Because people are thinking that others looking to invest in a strong node like this one will pay a premium price for the property. Here we have this player who very famously ridiculously prices their properties. But you know, in a sense, although it keeps it from me obtaining it, this kind of ridiculousness does rub off on some people in a good way. It rubs other people in the wrong way, but it rubs off in the good way because they see, whoa, this guy honestly thinks he can get, or this person thinks they can get these kind of prices in this area because there's a racetrack, because there's a store here, because there's so much development, because of all the markings. Did you see how all the becauses, all the value added pluses keep adding up? Now, let me get into the racetrack. The first major, so the first track that I did propose to the URL, the Upland Racing League, was for San Pedro, because I knew I had a decent amount of control of the area. I also know the area well enough to pick streets that would make for a very fun ride. In this case, let's look at the San Pedro Speedway. We're going to have a circuit that starts around 6th Street here in Pacific, goes down 6th Street, and we'll make use of the waterfront here. All right, we have the Green Onion Restaurant, these beautiful apartment buildings and hotels. Come back around down 7th Street, touch 8th Street before we get back onto 7th, and the finish line at 6th and Pacific. Okay, so this one has a little baby bump right here where riders. Now we do have some more fun tracks proposed, where one is called the Crazy 8, where you start at 6, but we stretch out going towards Grand this way. So starting line is going this way here. So we go womp, 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 turn back into the downtown area, and then make some crazy 8s going in and out, weaving in and out of these streets, all the way back, finishing at 6th and Pacific. Now, 6th and Pacific is our starting line for all the tracks here in downtown. The drag strip is going to go down through here too. Now, this track is specifically for the URL. We are going to have tracks for the Buck League too. Those tracks will be on Pacific, Gaffey, scroll about, around Averill Park here in Western. So this area right here. And not to leave out the coastal homies, we're figuring out how we can incorporate Paseo del Mar, Shepherd Street here, which turns into Paseo del Mar. So that's a San Pedro node, y'all. Again, I want to remind everybody our art shop will open by the end of the month. Genesis week, hopefully. That's what I would want if I can pick a date. We'll have block explorers for really, really cheap. Again, remember, I'm pricing these things to sell. So I will have some of my own personal ones for sale when I'm allowed to sell them. Because right now we're testing the consignment function, the subcontract, I guess they would call it. We're doing that one. We're testing that out. But yeah, we're gonna have some cheap ones. And to celebrate the opening of the store, I'm excited. You hear my tone change. I'm excited to announce here for the first time, we are giving away my #1 opening mint boombox. You heard it right. I'm giving it away. I'm going to give it to you. There are 2 ways you can enter to win that Block Explorer. It's the number 1 of 300. So, first way you can do it is in person in Las Vegas. There will be 3 landmarks that will have QR codes tagged onto them that Chi-Town NFT is working on to upload to 3 different social medias. Yes, the lucky number 3. Here we go. Ready? The 3 landmarks are the Sahara, Frankie's Tiki Room, and the Las Vegas sign. Yes, you have to scan the QR code, okay? Play out the augmented reality or upload it. Now, you do have to have Aero, Adobe Aero, A-E-R-O. It's just an AR reader. It reads files that are augmented reality. If you're already into augmented reality games like Pokemon Go, you probably already have it on your phone. If you don't, download it. It doesn't take up too much space, but it will help you read, or your phone read, many different kinds of AR content that you may be missing out on that's out there in the world already. I have a couple of businesses already using these QR codes for their business purposes. Just Squeeze, shout out. They're using it for their hiring process. And I'm not going to name that other one because that is a Genesis Week announcement. They're going to use it for farmers markets. Keep that in mind when I announce who it is that's going to use this. Now, I am excited to say that, okay, so those are the 3 landmarks. The 3 social medias you are to post your AR experience is the Discord channel, okay? It can be Upland, it can be Board Uplander 2. It can be any Discord channel that is Upland based. Just post it on Discord. Number 2 is TikTok, okay? Post it on TikTok. Upland is pushing really hard to have a strong TikTok presence. Post it there. And finally, number 3, Twitter. Okay, if you want to drop a 4th in there, Instagram, if that's what you're more familiar with, that's fine. I'll accept those 2. But the top 3 for sure are TikTok, Twitter, and Discord. All right. So 3 landmarks, 3 QR codes, 3 social media platforms. Okay. There's the Instagram option if that you're more familiar with that than any one of the other ones. But you have to have all 3. Okay? 3 social media postings. Okay? Finally, this is still for in-person in Las Vegas. The morning of June 10, the award ceremony, I will announce the winner of the number 1 Mint Boombox Block Explorer so that you could go to the show and brag about it. And show everybody off and tell everybody where you won it. Yeah. For those not being able, unfortunately, to join us in Las Vegas, I myself am only going to be there for the front half of the week. My twins graduate. They go from 8th grade into high school. I'm that old. So for those that are going to be playing online, we're going to have a Riot Fest, meaning there will be multiple locations throughout the Upland map from all our buckers. Yes, all 30 of them will have different locations that you can send to. The person with the highest send total at those locations will be entered for a raffle to win a Block Explorer from the shop. Yes, I'll have a set list. I haven't curated that one yet, but there are going to be some good ones, and it'll be another free Block Explorer, courtesy of Buck Explorers by the Metaverser. Our second store, not to leave them out, owned by the homie Meta Spook. So this is going to be Buck Explorers by Meta Spook. Hey, yo, and this house is a fat one too. Look at this beauty. It's in the Hancock Park area. Former home of the legend, musically and cinematic, Rob Zombie. Yes, you heard me right. This is Rob Zombie's former home. There is an MTV Cribs episode showing the Rob Zombie giving you a tour of the inside. It was also used as the McDowell's home in Coming to America. Yes, you heard it here right. Coming to America. And for you indie flick aficionados, this was Violet's home in Jawbreaker. Yes, the cult classic with Rose McGowan, Jawbreaker. So the other store will be here. We'll think of other promotions, but this is, hint, hint, one of the locations for the Riot Fest. So again, max sends within a time period. I'm talking about, you just keep sending. Whoever sends the most, okay? The number one sender in all the locations, okay? The number one sender will be entered into a raffle. Yes, I can't give everybody a Block Explorer, but it does give you a good chance to pick one up very cheaply. It will be a one-day period, 24 hours, similar to the way Upland runs its Riot Fests. 24 hours, send as much as you can to one location owned by a bored Uplander. And we're going to take the top sender, put it on a spinny wheel, spin the wheel, and give you a nice Block Explorer. You're going to fucking love it. Yeah, I'll have a list. You can choose from the list. I'll still give you the option. This won't be, you know, my way or the highway type of deal. So that's it. To celebrate the store, we have 2 awesome contests giving away 2 great Block Explorers. I'll have some other stuff and swag, other collectibles that I'm going to be giving away in Las Vegas. As part of the online participation, I'll see what other kinds of collectibles and art pieces I can come up with and contests to celebrate Genesis Week. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. I know I got sidetracked with the store announcement, the contest announcement, but this episode is about the San Pedro node, the bored Uplander community, the added value, the 5-finger added value. It's like a 5-finger punch right in your wallet. A good one, right? You get added tags. You get MetaVenture management. You get racetrack development. You get building development, which will increase your surrounding property value. Okay. And finally, you get the ability to be part of a neighborhood and community that will have, as I'm working very hard to bring real world brands and products into Upland, access to that. That store will have its own Block Explorers pretty soon in the metaverse through Upland because of the Bored Uplander Club. We've come to the end of this one. I'm going to probably end this one and start the next one because I'm very, very far behind in creating content for you all. Thank you very much for being patient. I'll probably hand over the next one to Buck. I hope you're ready for that. Peace, y'all.